right, let's talk about what I like and dislike about the exterior. So I love the car from the front. As you see, I got that in the background right now because that's my favorite view of the car. And then I love it from the side profile, just great. That and the same Infiniti profile they have had since 2002 from the G, and they kept it, and no reason to get rid of it because that profile is great. The rear though, still ain't really grew on me. Don't really like looking at the car from the rear. It got better when they did the 18s, when they added the rear diffuser, and that kind of made the rear end a little more sporty. And maybe later I may, switch to that bumper or add a diffuser or something, because that's probably the only sore spot for me on the exterior. And then, of course, for me, I love blue, and this is one of the better blues on any car, especially with all the flake in it, and it kind of goes from a light blue to a dark blue depending on the light, and I love it. And that's one of the reasons that got me into the car, was weirdly, besides engine and then that color. And the color is just, I love it. The rims, I'm a fan of the rims on the outside of the rims, especially at least the 16 rims. The 18 rims are more katana sword polished rims. I guess I kind of like it, but I like the rims that come on the 16 and 17 Red Sports better than what comes on the 18s. I guess I'm talking about the coupe Red Sport rims with the brushed or polished face on it. Those look nice, but I think I like the darker rims that come on this car a little more. Dislikes about the car on the exterior, well, I think everybody could agree with this, or at least for your new people. The tires that come on the car, the Dunlop run flats, are horrible. I don't know why they chose those tires. I mean, there's so many different other run flats they could have put on the car that are much better, but they chose Dunlop, and honestly, I think it took away from the car and its reviews. Like, it could have got better reviewed if they had put some better tires on the car, because that really was holding it back. You changed the tires on the Q50, 2016 and up Q50s, and it changed the whole car. I mean, first, with the original tires, OEM tires, feel like you was like driving a stagecoach, like you like riding on top of the tires instead of feeling planted to the ground. So I changed my tires, and ever since I did that, oh man, the whole ride got better. Everything just got better. So I change those Dunlops if you buy the car new, or you buy a used one that still got the Dunlops on it. Change the tires, changes the car. Weirdly, I don't know if it's weirdly, but I like DAS, the direct adaptive steering, the steer-by-wire. I actually like that. I'm gonna do a separate review on that, so you can look out for that video. But I like DAS, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but most people who say they don't like it ain't never even driven a car with DAS, or they drove the 14 and 15 with DAS. And that's all I say about that. They changed DAS for 2016 and up, and I believe they changed it again in 18. So if you had an opinion from the 14 car or the 15 cars, you need to drive a newer model before you can really give it your full opinion on that. And that's all I'll say on that. Other thing I dislike, the trunk. It's kind of shallow, but I guess it's a sports sedan. I can't expect too much. But what really gets me about the trunk is that, this is a luxury car, and the trunk just slams closed. And you would think they could just throw the trunk mechanism that's on the Q70 or the M37 with the soft close trunk. I think they could have put that on the Q50. That would have just added to the flair of the car, instead of just getting this hollow slam of the trunk that you get. I don't know, that might be me nitpicking, but I just see these other cars and the trunk, as soon as you unlatch it, the trunk pops right up. And Infiniti, the trunk, it just separates. It doesn't actually go up, and then it slams closed. You think luxury, you're gonna think of stuff being damped. It's gonna open slow and open with a controlled manner, and close with a controlled manner. Because this is a luxury car, and luxury things are controlled. But so that's probably my only other nitpick about the car on the outside. And yeah, that's it. But overall, from outside, this is one of those cars when you get out of it and you lock the car and you walk away and you end up looking back at it. And not every car does that for you, but this is one of them that does that. And to me, if you get out your car and you don't look back at it, that ain't the car for you. All right, the interior of the car. Overall, I love the interior overall. But if I'm gonna be honest, the cup holders are just adequate. There's no real storage space in the car. I mean, you can fit a smaller size water bottle in like the front door pockets, but there's no rear door pockets for some reason. And I thought they probably could have fit that in. I don't see why they wouldn't have done that. They could have put the same type of pocket that's in the front and the back, and that would have added to the storage. You can't really put your phone anywhere on the car, but I guess, with these hands-free laws, you're probably going to have some type of phone mount. So I guess you can get past that. The infotainment system. So 14 and 15 versions of the Q50, 2014, 2015 versions. The infotainment system was slow because of hardware and software. They did an update in 2015 to the software to make it slightly better. And then in 16, they actually updated the hardware. So if you got a 2016 and up Q50, you got new hardware and software, and the infotainment system is good. I can just say that it's good. It's not, I can't call it horrible. I know a lot of and then it might be my age too, but a lot of the newer or younger people who in this car, they want Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And Infiniti, unfortunately, doesn't have that. But, what people might not know is that Infiniti's infotainment software is Android. So I don't know if that counts, but let you know, it's like a version 2 point something of Android. That's what it's actually running. So it might not be Android Auto, but it is Android. And so here's another nitpick. Infiniti puts Android operating system on the car. They even have an option in the menu where you can side load apps. But they don't advertise that, and they don't look like the functionality is 100% working to side load apps. I think they missed the opportunity there that they could have blew everybody else away of giving the community a SDK, a software development kit, to where they could have made apps specifically for the Infinitis, and you run them in the car like gauges. They do the little performance screen in the car, but there's no boost gauge, no oil temperature gauge, no coolant temperature stuff that actually matter. They got like G-forces and fuel delivery. That's not really what you want to see if you're doing some performance driving. You want to see temperatures of stuff. So I think they missed the opportunity there by not allowing really allowing the side loading of apps, but they put it there and they tease you with it, but that's one of my other things. And then the screen resolution of the infotainment system is just adequate. And if you notice, they use the same navigation system that they've been using since, I think, 2007. And it's the same thing, just with better graphics. And there's nothing wrong with Infiniti's navigation system. I think it's easy to use. It finds good routes in general. It hadn't really let me down, so I can't like just knock it. But then when you see something that like Audi has with the Google Maps, or even a GM products with their map, it looks much better. Even the, people hate what I'm about to say, but even Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis infotainment system is more up to date than what's in Infiniti. But Infiniti could have equalized that if they allowed people to actually do custom apps. I think they could have people would have gave it a pass, because they can load Pandora, or they can load Waze, or whatever other, these common apps that people use, while they're driving, especially the music apps and stuff, that they could have loaded that onto the car, and no other car would have been able to do that. But hey, they still can. They still can do it. They can easily do an update and allow it. But, I doubt they will, but they could have separated themselves. But I think a lot of these other manufacturers, or even the newer BMW interface, is actually better to me than Infiniti's infotainment. Now, saying all that, Infiniti's infotainment is, once you get through all the settings, get your settings right, and then you just using it day to day, it's fine. Your air conditioning controls and stuff is all hard buttons, so you can just press that. You ain't got to search through a whole bunch of menus to do that. You ain't got to search through no menus for the heated seats. You don't have to search through the menus to change your radio station, or you have a physical volume key, and the ergonomics of the car is just good. The overall use of the infotainment system is good. They actually thought about the driver when they designed the infotainment system and the ergonomics of how to use it. You got 3 different inputs. You got the steering wheel, you got both touch screens, and then you got the knob. So you can, whatever is convenient as you're driving, you can do it. And not every car gives you that. And most cars, you get the steering wheel and a knob, and you don't always get the touchscreen option, because sometimes, depending on what's going on, you just pick one that's convenient. And I love that, and they've been doing that since 2010. Since the G37, when they put the touchscreen in the G37 and they gave you those 3 inputs, it's just been great ergonomics as a driver's car, and I commend them for that. Just overall, like I said before, overall I like it. Just little small nitpicking stuff I can complain about, and then like I said, if Infiniti's watching this, enable the side loading of apps. That could be a game changer for you. All right, what have I done to the car? So I think I mentioned this in my driver mod video. If you haven't seen that one, check it out. But the very first thing I did to the car was change the brake pads. And because I melted them with one, high-speed stop, I melted them. So I immediately changed the pads. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to change the pads, I might as well do everything. So I changed the pads. I added, front rotors, and then I did stainless steel brake lines. And then I went ahead and upgraded the fluid from DOT3 to DOT4, which I recommend anybody who calls themselves a spirited driver. If you don't do nothing else, change them pads and change that fluid to DOT4. Then eventually I had a Y pipe that was on my G37, and I found out that it fits the Q50, so I threw that on there. And then I was attending Z-Days, if any of y'all ever attended that, and actually won a raffle for Fast Intentions downpipes. So I have Fast Intentions downpipes combined with a Y pipe, And then my exhaust is stock. All the rest of the way back, the mid pipe and the axle back is stock. Then I just did drop in dry element air filters. And then, you know, I mentioned in my other video, I added a rear sway bar because the car had a tad of understeer. And then I got rid of them dang tires. And I have put some Federal 959 Evos on the car. I believe they are 255, 35, 19, and you know, all-wheel drive, so it's a square setup. And that changed the whole car. Before I even did a sway bar, that just those tires changed the whole car. And then for the heck of it, I threw a strut bar on it. It was just cheap. I mean, I just didn't expect it to be that cheap, so I threw it on there. I personally didn't think the car needed a strut bar because it's so stiff already, with most of the structure of the car being aluminum. I didn't think it needed it, but I like the way it looked, and it was so cheap, so I added the front tower strut bar. Then, like I said, you know, I'm an engineer, so I added a grounding kit to the car. I know some people think it's a myth that grounding kits do anything, but they do. And but surprisingly, the Q50 is actually grounded pretty well. I was surprised by that. So I added where I could, but it wasn't much more I could do with this car versus my G37, which is not grounded that well. If you go look where your brake reservoir is and where your battery is, you'll actually see all the grounds are pretty much next to each other instead of just all over the dang car. You know, because the whole point of all a grounding kit does is give you a common ground and gives you a faster way for, you know, the electricity to get to ground. But when you got all these little grounds all over the place, you know, that the speed of the ground might be faster on this side of the car. You get a little faster that way and that way. I don't know, that's the best way I can explain it. But if you look at the Q50's ground, they're all together, and I was like, wow. But anyway, I still added a little bit more a grounding to the car, and then I did a heat exchanger upgrade. But I didn't go the typical route that everybody else, real expensive route that most people went. I just decided, let's just double the heat exchanger that's on there. So I added another OEM heat exchanger to my car and ran it in series, and it's been great. I get consistent power delivery all the time now. So, I mean, my method works. So that's all I can say. And I tested temperatures, and I'm under 100 degrees, you know, like in the 80s most of the time. My charge air temps are, my charge air coolers are cool to the touch. Even when it was the summertime, they were cool to the touch. So just adding another OEM heat exchanger is another legit option out there. And that's what I did. Cost you a little bit less to about the same as doing the frozen boost. So, but you know, every other option is way up there in price. And I didn't think it was worth that much money to get the pricier ones where just adding another one would accomplish the same thing. So yeah, that's about all I did to the car. I'm not really one of those people, as you see from my past driver mod video. I'm not one of those people that just throws stuff on a car just to do it. I kind of slowly mod the car as I see fit. You know, where the car is lacking or something I don't like and I just want to change it. But just throwing parts on there just because of some brand or something like that, I don't do that. So, and then my overall goal for the car, so future plans for the car, is I go for, on all my cars that I've ever modded, I go for reliability and availability. To me, if you go and mod out a car, it got everything on it, and it's tuned to the max, but it's always broken, what fun is that? So I'd rather have the car not maxed out and in a safe state of tune, and my mods actually are mods that matter and not just for likes, you know, or just to say I got this brand on my car. My mods actually contribute to the car and make the car more reliable, more fun, and fix some factory defect or deficiency in the car. That's what I go for. So to make the car, if it don't make the car more reliable or increase availability of the car, then I'm not gonna do it. It's pointless. And then honestly, I'm more of a sleeper type guy. I like my car to look stockish as possible because I like to surprise people. You know, they think it's just some luxury sedan, and then they get blew out of the water. So, and then I like to do autocross, and then any chance I get for some cheap track day, I like to bring the car there. So I like to have the car modded to just enough to be dangerous, and I'm good. And I can still have my day-to-day driving of the car. It's not harsh and beating me up because I done got the stiffest springs I can find on there just to put them on there to say I got it. So I don't do that type of stuff with the car. So I try to keep the duality of the car intact. And that's one of the things I always liked about the FM platform, you know, the G and the Q, is the duality of it. You can cruise with the car, or you can go and do some type of sporty driving, and either way the car does it very well. And it's not the best, but it dang sure ain't the worst. So that's kind of how I'm gonna go about the car and continue going about the car. And with that, I hope this helped you out in any buying decision with the car, or you just learned something about the car. All right, until next time.